The signs of grief mingled with hope are at almost every turn in Newtown, Connecticut, from the makeshift memorials with angels and candles to the flags at half-staff to the small New England main streets packed with satellite trucks beaming back the news to the far corners of the earth. They're all gathered to tell the stories of the smallest victims and the heroes who saved many more, heroes like Principal Dawn Hochsprung.
This is her dancing in a conga line.
As former president of the Newtown Board of Education, Lillian Bittman helped hire Hochsprung. She ran the school newspaper for 13 years, but her ties to the school where tragedy struck run far deeper. Her 3 children attended Sandy Hook Elementary.
For me personally, because I've been so involved with the school for so long, it is my heart. I just felt like he had come into my home and done this. This is how I felt. And then I started to panic about all the teachers I know there.
Teachers like Vicky Soto, who died shielding her first-grade students with her own body.
The kids loved her. The kids on my newspaper, she was one of our favorites. Everyone wanted to interview her all the time.
And, of course, Principal Hochsprung.
I laugh because we have a sock hop every year, and the kids are all in, 1950s costumes, and she dressed up in a poodle skirt, and she was short enough where I would lose her on the dance floor. All the adults danced with all the kids, and it's a wonderful event. It's actually probably my favorite activity that the school did, because you had all the generations dancing to rock and roll. And that was just so indicative of Sandy Hook School.
It's going to take, I think, months and years for this community to heal from what's happened.
Dr. Jeannie Pasacreta is a resident of Newtown, but she's also a psychotherapist who helps this community deal with grief. She warns that the preventive systems to recognize the next troubled individual and prevent the next potential school horror are failing.
Budgets are so tight in schools that a lot of these ancillary positions, like psychologists and counselors, have been cut, or it's like a lot of schools are running on a bare bones system. And there need to be people to identify kids that don't fit into the social setting, who show evidence that they're struggling. Kids that are being bullied, kids who don't have friends, kids who appear depressed, kids who appear anxious.
Kids who could grow up to become like Adam Lanza, the individual responsible for the murder of 27 people.
I would say all cases where somebody does something this horrific, there have been many signals for many years that something was brewing.
Like what?
My son was in his graduating class at Newtown High School, and he didn't know him. He never remembered his name. That's noteworthy in a town like Newtown. For a kid to be relatively anonymous, that's noteworthy.
I don't have anything here.
So anonymous that when we thumbed through yearbooks with the Kronberg family, we couldn't find a mention, let alone a picture of Lanza, going back as far as the 7th grade, when he was listed as camera shy.
Lanza.
This is the 2004 yearbook. Here in the 6th grade, Lanza is on the right, Kyle Kronberg is beside him on the left. Kyle is now a junior in college. We interviewed him using the internet.
He was a very bright kid, very intelligent. You could tell he really cared about school. He was very shy, though, very shy. Didn't want to look at you in your eyes. And if he did, he made you feel uncomfortable.
In fact, the same day these individual pictures were taken, the class was photographed as a group. Lanza is the only one missing. Kronberg and Lanza shared Latin class for 3 years during high school.
If I would see him in the hallway, he was always walking alone. And if he was ever walking up to a group of people, more than 3, maybe 4 or 5 people, he would get as close to the wall as possible. He would try and be as far away from them, almost as if he was afraid.
Though Kronberg feels a mix of anger and sadness, he says he also feels some disappointment, because knowing what he does now about Adam,
I would have done everything in my power to try and make him feel more belonging to the school. And if I had known how uncomfortable he was and maybe had gotten to talk to him on a personal level, who knows what could have happened.
Newtown only knows what did happen.
The children,
During our interview with Lillian Bittman, the list of those killed became official.
Just read me last name.
This isn't going to be nice.
Don't you film this.
Okay.
You knew at least a half a dozen of these people, these victims, personally.
Mm-hmm. Now we get to work. Now we support them. We do what we can. We bring them meals. We give them hugs. We love them. We take their other kids if they have any and help them with, we do whatever we can. We just help.
Help that will be necessary for Newtown, Connecticut to heal.